Where has the Batman been throughout the events of the Penguin, and what is he up to currently in this story based off of Easter eggs and hidden details? We know that Batman has spent the last 2 years cracking down on crime across all of Gotham, and it would stand to reason that the two largest perpetrators of most of the organized crime in the city are the Falcones and the Maronis. Therefore, it makes sense that someone would have at least mentioned having one of their operations hit by the Batman. Yet so far, no one seems to have encountered the Bat at all. So today, let's talk about where Batman has been, and what we believe he's doing during the events of the Penguin. First, it's important to remember where Batman left off at the end of his movie. Selina Kyle is in the wind, and Bruce Wayne decided to stay back in Gotham in order to keep helping the city, especially in the aftermath of the flood. But it's just as important to remember where his personal journey took him as well, as this will give us a clue at where he is. In the beginning of his crime-fighting career, Bruce leaned into the idea of creating a symbol that would strike fear into the hearts of anyone who would consider committing a violent crime in Gotham. His way to police crime was not to be everywhere at once, but to make criminals so afraid of him that they would think twice before ever committing one, wondering to themselves if tonight could be the night that they encountered the Batman. This is how the Batman fought crime, or how vengeance fought crime. But as Bruce learned, this ideology could be just as easily corrupted by those who wanted to corrode his very image. Fear is everywhere, and the Riddler's henchmen were able to throw his symbolism back in his face, rendering it inert, and proving to Batman that he was actually doing more harm than good. That vengeance was not the right path. This is important because it motivates him to become a more altruistic symbol of someone that the people can count on, a figure of hope. This is why he finally steps into the daylight and helps the survivors of the flood during the reconstruction. He donates his time to the FEMA camp and is becoming someone who the civilians of Gotham can learn to trust rather than someone to be feared. And while he is still a symbol of fear for the criminals, he is becoming something more to the people of Gotham. He is more complex. Batman can be a symbol of fear for those that should fear him, or a symbol of hope for those that need it. Therefore, it may stand to reason that the identity of Batman and the identity of Bruce Wayne are learning to share space with one another now. In the Batman, Wayne was basically non-existent. He was an antisocial recluse who had not been seen in the public eye for years. His entire identity was consumed by his nightlife as Batman, to the point where Bruce Wayne had very little to contribute to who the man was. Mayoral candidate Bella Real even commented on this at the funeral, saying that he had the financial and the social means to help Gotham on a much deeper level as Bruce Wayne, yet she didn't see any evidence that he is actually contributing to anything. At the time, this made sense for why Bruce would do this. We know that the philanthropy of the Waynes was being taken advantage of, and that the renewal fund was immediately corrupted by those who sought to take that money for themselves rather than actually use it to help the lower Gothamites. And so, Bruce Wayne's skepticism and his place is understandable. But now, since the events of the Batman, he has learned. If this is true, then he may be putting more emphasis on his life as Bruce Wayne, attempting to reconstruct that piece of his image as well so that he can learn how to fight both sides of Gotham's war, the war on crime in the city and the war on crime with the criminals. Bruce can attempt to make social change through proper channels and official means, and Batman can punish those who attempt to bend these systems to their will. Batman's real goal is to get the proper institutions of Gotham working correctly, and Batman's entire existence as a brute force crime fighter cannot fix these things, these deep, systemic issues alone. He needs the help of Bruce Wayne. Gotham needs Wayne, and so he may be pulling back from Batman for the time being in order to do some proper maintenance on both sides of his life. This isn't to say that Batman is not an active figure, just that his life as Bruce Wayne needs more attention than his life as Batman right now. It is our hope that by the beginning of Batman 2, we will see Bruce Wayne who is more socially active in the Gotham City political scene. One who is strengthening his own business in order to create jobs, stimulate the economy, and give the people of Gotham a chance at a better life through proper channels. He may be able to levy local government institutions into rooting out corruption at its source, because when the lowly Gothamites demand it, it is easy to ignore. But when Bruce Wayne demands it, the consequences are much more tangible. He may be in the process of reconstructing funds for education, infrastructure, and most importantly, the repairs that Gotham City is in dire need of after the Riddler's flood. This attack wiped out many of the poor neighborhoods of Gotham, the only safe haven for those scraping by. And even though they were not the nicest parts of town already, they were still the homes that so many people like Victor's father had built. Batman cannot come out of the night and use his brute strength to rebuild buildings, raise bridges, clean up the damage, and repair the city on a fundamental level. But Bruce Wayne can do all of those things. He can help the parts of the city that need it, and can create more opportunities for the people in the process. This may not be a long-term solution, but it may be the beginning of Bruce Wayne's career as a philanthropist. But in order to do this, he needs to clean up his public image first, learn how to use the system to his favor. Even though it is corrupt, it is the exploitable nature for someone of Bruce Wayne's stature and influence that he can corrupt himself and bend to the wills that will ultimately benefit Gotham. He is most likely still out there, punishing the ill-doers of Gotham in the city, but he may not be as active when it comes to hunting down the head of a criminal enterprise and getting to the bottom of a gang war that is brewing between Oz, Sophia, and Maroni. Despite what we've heard about Bruce Wayne not showing up, until the Penguin concludes, there is always a theoretical chance that he could show up in the show. It's also important to note that this is all still very much in its infancy. It is not broken out into a full-on bloodbath between two sides in a gang war yet, so it may still be just small enough that it's flying under the radar of the Batman right now. Gotham is a lively, dangerous city, and one of the tenets of any Batman comic is that there is never a shortage of cases for him to be working on. Gotham will always have its problems. There will always be another killer, another criminal, an abduction ring, or a case to be tracked down and solved. The Bat family is not a thing yet. He is not extended into the likes of Nightwing, Red Hood, Batgirl, and Robin, and at this point in the timeline, he is flying solo. The entire point of the first Batman movie was to demonstrate that he couldn't be everywhere at once, no matter how many skills and abilities he learned across his life. And even if he understood this, he created the mantle and the symbol to carry the weight of what he couldn't do himself. So it's just as likely that there is another antagonist waiting in the wings that he is currently investigating or tracking down. Right now, there is no shortage of other cases that he will be spending his nights working on, and this is even more likely given the deliberate identity that has been crafted around the city of Gotham. This series in particular has done an exceptional job at breathing life into Gotham more as a city, but also something greater, a living entity of its own. It is much more complex and a nuanced depiction of the city, complete with so many potential problems that Batman could be spending his time solving when he's not focusing on his life as Wayne. Sometimes the best that he can hope for is that criminals like the Penguin are so afraid of even encountering him that they abandon their ways of violence and remain in the shadows themselves. The Penguin is playing an extremely dangerous game. For his entire criminal life, he has thrived by flying under the radar. Oz has made a name for himself under Carmine by not making a name for himself personally. He learned how to survive on scraps, keep to himself, only skim enough to get by, and learn how to work the system intimately. But now, Oz is branching out. The larger he gets, the bigger a target he becomes. And if he continues on this path of the Penguin, then we are confident that at some point, he will catch the eye of the Caped Crusader yet again. Whether this comes at the end of the season, in a second season, or in the Batman 2. But it is highly likely that the Penguin will be built up as a kingpin of the criminal underworld, never again to be underestimated. Exactly how this will happen, though, remains to be seen. But that is what Batman is up to during the events of the Penguin, as well as how he grew and what he learned from the events of the first Batman film, becoming more than vengeance, becoming perhaps a symbol of hope, but still the Batman. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you're having a great day.